the Army always ready.
Okay.
He said Army's always ready. He's got it.
Remember that. And I just
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. I never get it.
All right, we'll get in touch.
Okay.
Please,
Paul Gracie.
Call him, Paul. Now, call him when we have a design. We'll get in touch with you.
Actually, he was first.
I went to
All right, look,
I didn't see that.
boy, Paul sounds like me.
That's a doctor's signature.
Paul, you left-handed?
You know, I'm making memorial with
Okay.
An array of deep
I'm still waiting for the township to recognize
Thank you,
me.
Mr. We're good, we're good.
Has to do with the days and craze mind, I would say. Good evening, Paul Brady. I'm not going to promote what I'm doing, it's no. What I will do is simply do what I've done, and that's address relevant ideas. The first thing I'd like to do is commend the freeholders. Your idea of combining your Special Services Board of Education and your Vocational Schools Board of Education is really a very good idea. But the problem remains the same. Tonight, you appointed someone to Burlington County College's Board of Trustees. I've discussed this previously. You're aware of my position on it. Particularly now when you're combining two boards of education, it's critical that you're going to have 7 members of your board that they're not only well-versed in the field of special education, they're well-versed now in the field of vocational education. And quite candidly and honestly, your political appointments just won't do that. Because what it has done historically, and even though the intentions are good, and I'm not here to argue that the intentions aren't good, more often than not, as report from the newspaper can verify, which your own minutes can verify, it's a stepping stone. Many political appointments to the Burlington County Special Services Board of Education and vocational boards of education later pursue other political offices. Now, does that mean that they're not committed to serving those boards? I believe they are. But I also believe that if they are not well-versed in both fields, they cannot effectively manage those boards. And quite frankly, this is an issue right now, freeholders, that you're dealing with on the State Department of Education level, and certainly on your level, concerning an administrator, and I'll only take it that far. I won't go further than that. But I can tell you right now there's an investigation underway by the State Department of Education, and I suspect shortly there will be an underway by the county administrator. And a simple check-in point, a simple check, if you implement the checks and balances system, is to, 1, get feedback from the public. 2, require as a precondition that if you're going to serve on a board, even if there's political connotations involved, and you can't argue there's not, there are. And I'm not even saying that's not the way to go. But what I am saying is, 1, you have to increase your pool. 2, you have to mandate, and I'm surely within the Burlington County Republican Party and Democratic Party, there's a wealth of candidates who meet the criteria. You have to mandate that they are well-versed in the field of vocational education and special education. Now, if they want to use their wealth of knowledge to later move politically, I have no problem with that. But not at the expense of quality programs in Burlington County. The truth of the matter is, if you had more board members that are well-versed in the field of vocational education and special education, this investigation that's currently underway would have been stifled, trust me. And I'm not going to go beyond that out of respect for this board. The other thing I'd like to commend the board on is coming to this meeting tonight. Your Director of Human Resources has done an amazing job of streamlining. I had the privilege of speaking to 3 students I used to teach who were part of the OTC program that's cleaning your schools. The sense of pride is priceless. Your director made that possible, you've made that possible. There's something else I want to talk about that I'd like you to reconsider, because it's kind of interesting. Tonight you talked about it. I've encouraged this board to empower yourself to become involved in community government. I addressed the Pemberton historical situation. I'm not going to be redundant. I also addressed Mount Holly Gardens position. the project, the Mount Holly Gardens project. Again, I will not restate. What you're doing tonight, or what you're proposed to do tonight with Willingboro Township is brilliant. Because what you're doing now is you're soliciting local input to help you come up, and you're right. When you finish this project, it's going to be one of the premier projects in Burlington County. So your insight's amazing. But consider the possibility of taking this idea, which you're doing, in terms of development, where you could do the same thing with problem solving. The Pemberton Township Council, I happen to know the mayor personally. He's a decent guy. But they're at different polar regions. This is personal. This is a personal issue. Politics is no longer the primary concern, although there's political aspects of this situation. It's become personal. Now, the Township of Pemberton is paying the cost. You would be ideal mediators. How many years will the Township of Mount Holly have to endure what's happening in the projects short of Supreme Court intervention, and what cost involved? Because unless there's a settled position, which I've mapped out and I've shared with the Township Manager, I've shared with you, it's a viable idea. I never come to this board unless I have ideas that make sense and can work. It's not a waste of you. I won't waste your time. I may infuriate you over ideas, but the ideas are sound and viable. So what I'm suggesting is you take another bold step, because what you're doing with that development project is brilliant. Mount Holly Township needs some help. Pemberton Township needs some help. The County Board of Freeholders represents the entire county. To simply say you're going to disassociate yourself when you have townships, 2 townships, clearly documented, they cannot come to understanding. They can't. Now, we can debate the historical aspects of it. Bottom line is, they can't. You are wise leaders of the community. You can. You can mediate and help them find resolution. And to simply say, you know what, we don't particularly want to go there, I think you need to reconsider. Consider what you did concerning the Omega project and the latitude supply of both avenues. And consider where it is now. You intervened. To say you didn't is certainly not a factual statement. Mount Holly and Pemberton Township need to exist. I'm not here to take issue with anyone running for any office. But I have a real personal problem with the concept of pay to play. And as you know, I'm spirited. I'll show emotion. I'll show spastic behavior at times. But what I won't do is go into the mud. I am not taking any issue with any candidate. I have not even addressed aspects of my candidacy. I've tried to center on issues. Pay to play is an issue. Now, let me tell you how I know pay to play won't work. See, the bottom line is, I want votes, not money. I want to share ideas. I don't want to go into smut. I don't want to go into a 30-second buzz, which is filled with half truths to get votes. If that's what you got to do to vote for me, don't vote for me. I don't want your vote. I believe that if you limit, and I understand, both sides of the line play the game. If you limit pay-to-play contributions, you don't have to talk to pay-to-play, because that concept will die. And then you're actually going to have to debate it. If pay-to-play was simply this, there's no pay-to-play. You want to contribute to a campaign? $300. That's it. That's max. You want to put more than $300 on a campaign? Come on, be some deep pockets. Take it out. It's all good. And you will not be considered for any contract in Burlington County. If you contribute to the Democratic Party, hey, you want to give them $1,000, that's all good. No problem. Parker wants to be motivated with McKay, hey, that's all good too. You could put $5,000 to the GOP, and guess what? You guys aren't being considered for any legal contracts that the county government negotiates. Now, you don't have to. You limit contributions to $300, folks are going to have to actually talk about ideas instead it is smut. This is a waste of money. But, you know what? I guess the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, too, let's be fair about it. Both parties do it, but I haven't and won't. I will only deal with issues, and there's no one on this dais that can say I've done otherwise. I'll be spirited, but I'll talk about what's real, ideas. This is an insult to the county voters. This is a waste of money. Our mailing. Our most impressive, spiffy, glossy, print-colored mailing. It's an insult to the county voters to say that we can't meet. I've been trying for, only 4.5 months to set up a debate. I like to talk about ideas. I have a platform. And I'd like to thank the Republican Party and the Democratic Party for taking aspects of my platform. I thank you for that. What I'd like is I'd be interested in the position of this board. If you would accept the idea being that there should be no more than $300 contributed to any campaign, or if you contribute more than $300, you will not be considered for any contract in Burlington County. I'd like you to take a position on that by the end of the night if you so choose. I'd be very interested in how you feel as leaders. Because you know what happened? You'd be forced to debate. And I understand why you don't do it. Because I actually talk about real ideas. So I think I've stated my position on pay to play.
So are you for or against it?
You know what? I'm totally for it. You can donate $15,000 to any campaign you want.
We got it.
As long as, after you put your 15 out of your deep pocket into the campaign, you're not considered for jack.
We understand your position.
Oh, okay.
You expressed it very well.
I just want to make sure that you're clear on my position.
No, it's not a no, we're not.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure you were clear.
Personal question.
You know, I'm thinking, why do we have to raise $347,000 for 2 freeholder positions and 1 surrogate position? You mean to tell me that those candidates couldn't meet all over the county and talk about what they believe in? Oh, but then again, I've tried to be included in many debates. I've been told that they're closed. But then again, I guess I'm not a real serious candidate. I think this board has done a commendable job. And Freeholder Director, honestly, I have the utmost respect for you because I wrote your letter way back in the day. You had the courtesy of response. We've talked several times, at times even spirited conversations, but there's always been due courtesy. And here's where I'm going to say something you may not particularly enjoy. You always say something nice first.
You get them smiling
I
first.
feel good about myself.
Well, you should.
Out the rug.
You should feel good about yourself. I truly believe that particularly when you have a minority-based party, you're the majority. I'm sorry, when you have a majority-based party, you're right on it. You guys have control. You've had it for some time. Is the minority should have an avenue. To express. Now, I understand freeholders. Ron already addressed some issues about things coming on the agenda, leaving the agenda on short notice. Bruce, I'm not saying you're not doing a commendable job. I think all of you are doing a commendable job. You're better bet. But I also feel that, and maybe it's perception, and clearly if you look at me, there's a different perception of reality, trust me.